Tao's previous life ended pathetically. Glued to her phone, she took a fatal plunge into a manure pit. Her prime was over. But waking up revealed a majestic castle, not a grave. Looming over her was a lethally handsome man, dripping with cold menace. He snatched her up like a helpless chick. "My biological daughter? This thing?" he sneered. Tao's mind descended into chaos. Had she actually transmigrated? Before she could process the shock, that breathtakingly cruel face moved dangerously close to hers. "Cry again and you're trash." That threat nearly made Tao soil herself. Suddenly, a disheveled man stepped forward, trembling. He produced a worn memento from her mother. "Master Long, she truly is your biological daughter." Hearing the name Long left Tao floored. The terrifying reality finally hit her. She was trapped inside a book. A world where every single character was a cold-blooded villain. The family patriarch, Long Chen Li, was a complete maniac who lived to torment the story's hero. His sons were equally twisted, obsessed with the heroine. To make matters worse, Tao had been sold to this apex villain by a trafficker. Under Long Chen Li's suffocating, repeated questioning, the trafficker's lies crumbled. His eyes darted in terror as things went south. Realizing his end, he bolted. Long Chen Li's eyes narrowed instantly. Behind him, a bodyguard leveled a lethal weapon. A deafening bang echoed, and the man's head burst like a watermelon. Tao had never seen such gore. Her tiny face turned ghostly pale. Her heart nearly leaped out of her throat. Before she recovered, Long Chen Li's icy gaze pierced her. "Get out." He released her, letting Tao crash onto the floor. The impact nearly sent her to her maker. She was beyond tears, desperate to return to her world. But guards with guns were everywhere. One wrong step meant a bullet. To survive this nightmare, she had to gamble. Tao reached out, tugging the villain's pant leg while batting her large eyes. "Daddy, please don't cast me out. Tao doesn't want to be an orphan," she wailed. Yet the tyrant remained utterly unmoved. "Scram, you little liar," he hissed. Seeing this, Tao summoned her strength, leaping up to cling to his neck for dear life. "No, Daddy!" she screamed, tears and snot everywhere. "I'm along too. What if he's right? Won't you at least check for sure, Daddy?" Long Chen Li's expression was ice, but he was secretly intrigued. No one dared to bargain with him. He agreed to let her stay. But if she was a fraud, a horrific fate awaited her. He plucked a strand of her hair, then tossed her to the butler. That night, Tao felt something was terribly wrong. She remembered the novel clearly. Long Chen Li never had a daughter. She was likely an imposter. Terrified, she scrambled out of bed, determined to escape this den of devils. She tiptoed out on her tiny legs, only to realize the castle was a massive, confusing maze. No matter where she turned, the exit vanished. Just as despair set in, she saw a photo of the... Finally, she spotted an unguarded exit. Tao was overjoyed, believing her liberation was only seconds away. Suddenly, a hand lunged from the shadows, grabbing her. She was yanked back and face-planted hard. "Who are you?" an arrogant voice demanded. A white-haired boy looked down at her with cold disdain. Tao's brain went blank. She needed an excuse, fast. Just as her hope died, the butler appeared and scooped her up. Tao was moved to tears. "Sir, you're my literal savior," she thought. But Long Tenyu wouldn't let go, demanding her identity. The butler calmly explained the situation. "This child claims to be the master's daughter. We are currently awaiting the paternity test results." He carried Tao away, leaving Chen Yi standing there like he'd been struck by a lightning bolt. He refused to accept a sister. Back in her room, Tao faked sleep until the door clicked shut. Her eyes snapped open. She shot out of bed, sprinting into the halls for one last attempt. But the labyrinth was endless. She ran until she tripped over a rock, face-planting into the dirt again. Staring at the imposing, dark fortress, she realized escape was impossible. Her life was a tragic mess. "Why am I so miserable?" she sobbed. An overworked orphan then, and still a prisoner now, trapped in this cruel destiny. After regaining her composure, she realized if death was inevitable, she'd charm her villainous father first. By hoarding coins, she could eventually flee this nightmare. At dawn, Tao crept into the kitchen. Food is the ultimate weapon of seduction. Small problem. The counter loomed high above her tiny frame. But her wit was far sharper. Stacking stools for height, she surveyed the pantry. It was a treasure trove of gourmet delights. Perfection. Tao began her masterpiece, a ham and egg sandwich. After some culinary magic, a golden toast emerged. "What's this?" a cold voice rumbled behind her. Tao turned to find Long Chen Li and Long Chen Yi watching. She flashed a dazzling smile, offering them a taste. Li approached with a stoic mask, eyeing the meal. "Your handiwork?" Tao nodded eagerly, eyes shimmering. Her brother Yi scoffed in pure disdain. "It's just basic bread, nothing special." Surprisingly, Li took a bite and actually offered a rare compliment. "Passable." Cao's heart soared. She'd infused that sandwich with every trick to melt her father's frozen heart. Yet Yi felt his kingdom crumbling. Fury boiled within him. How could she win father's favor? "I won't let this little brat replace me." At the table, Yi stared at the perfect sandwich, mouth watering despite his wounded pride. Tao softly nudged him to try. The tsundere brother grumbled until his father's icy glare forced his hand. Reluctantly, Yi took a tentative nibble. The flavor explosion was heavenly. "It's incredible!" his inner voice screamed. Tao beamed, certain she'd won Yi over. But he suddenly snapped. Slamming his utensils, he barked, "This is trash!" The villainous patriarch lost his cool. "Stop throwing a tantrum!" The roar nearly made Yi collapse in fear. Tao sighed. No wonder this family is doomed. She quickly played peacemaker. "Brother, tell me your favorite dish. I'll cook it specifically for you." But her father's eyes narrowed. "You're just playing the loyal daughter to stay, aren't you?" Tao waved her hands in panic. "No, I truly just love cooking." But his words were like ice. "The DNA results arrive soon. If you've deceived me, prepare for the end." Tao was trapped between tears and laughter. If those guards weren't there, she'd have vanished long ago. Watching them bond, Yi's jealousy burned like acid. Why was she stealing the spotlight? In a desperate move, he invited his father to his school's athletic festival. But Li didn't even blink, offering a flat refusal. Suddenly, a brilliant scheme hit Tao. If she could get the villain to the school, the crowds would provide the perfect cover to run. She tugged his sleeve with a pout. "Daddy, I want to see Brother's sports day. Please?" "Why bother?" he asked, sounding annoyed. Tao looked up with wide, watery eyes. "I've never seen a festival. I want to cheer for my big brother." Hearing those words, Yi's heart swelled with secret pride, though his face remained a mask of stone. "I don't need fans." To everyone's shock, the tyrant agreed. Tao cheered inwardly. Yes, freedom is near. Yi was thrilled, yet hated that he owed this win to her. He swore to dominate the field the following morning. When they arrived at the campus, Tao was vibrating with nervous energy. But just as she prepared to bolt, a massive hand hoisted her into the air. Her villainous father tucked her under his arm. "Stay close," he commanded. "Don't GK off." Tao forced a strange smile while screaming internally. Yi stood nearby, eyes blazing. "Today, I'll prove I'm the only child who matters." Out on the track, Yi tried to look fierce. However, the poor kid was fumbling, unable to pin the race tag to his own jersey. He watched other boys being helped by their doting fathers. He looked at his own dad, who stood like a cold, elegant statue, ignoring his struggle. Tao realized this was her moment. She called out in her sweetest tone, "Brother, let me help." Long Chen Yi reluctantly surrendered his tag. Tao, acting the part of a clumsy child, feigned an inability to reach it herself. With a calculated shimmy, she beckoned Long Chenlei. "Daddy, please help my poor brother!" Her voice rang out with mock innocence. Trembling with a mix of fear and yearning, Chen Yi approached the cold patriarch. "Father, could you assist me?" he stammered out. The CEO's face remained an unreadable mask of frost. "Turn around," he commanded, his voice cutting through the air like a blade. The boy's heart raced with exhilaration, while Tao's eyes gleamed with mischief. This was it, the perfect window for her grand escape. But as she prepared to bolt, a low, predatory rumble stopped her cold. "And just where do you think you're going, little one?" Terror spiked through her as she pivoted into a frantic workout. "I'm just warming up. High-energy cheers require top-tier stamina, you see?" Her voice was a pitch too high, desperate to mask her flight instinct. "Big brother needs his #1 fan ready." A dark, playful smirk danced on the tycoon's lips. "Is that so? I almost thought you were fleeing the scene, little Tao." She widened her eyes, radiating pure, angelic innocence. "Flee? Never! But Tao is parched. Could Daddy spare some change for a drink?" Secretly, her mind spun. This drink money would be her escape fund. The CEO watched her, sensing her hidden, desperate schemes. "Name your poison," he challenged, his interest piqued. Internally, Tao was screaming, cursing his suffocating presence with every fiber of her soul. She imagined throwing a very different gesture his way. Why was this man so obsessed with her personal space? It was infuriating. Masking her rage with a sugary sweet grin, she chirped, "Pao craves a fancy strawberry cheese mochi milk. That should be hard enough." With a sharp snap of his fingers, the butler materialized, presenting the exact decadent drink as if by dark professional magic. Her jaw hit the floor. Where did he even come from? She forced a strained, awkward laugh to cover her mounting panic. "Actually, that's too heavy. How about a tart kumquat passion fruit lemon tea instead?" she blurted, hoping to stump the staff. Before her sentence even finished, a massive cup of the sour tea appeared. Tao stood frozen, her brain completely stalling out. Refusing to yield, she took a deep breath and machine-gunned a list of over 800 different beverages at him in seconds. But reality was a cruel mistress. The butler systematically laid out every single drink she'd named, an impossible wall of liquid. The tycoon arched a smug eyebrow. "Satisfied? Or does your thirst require more?" Tao's eye twitched with sheer, unadulterated frustration. He was actually doing it. "Well, drinks are fine, but Tao needs dessert to survive," she declared, grasping for another distraction. Instantly, a towering cart of gourmet cakes rolled into view. Tao's cognitive gears were grinding to a halt from the sheer absurdity. Desperate, she squeezed out one last lie. "Wait, fresh fruit is Tao's true passion. It is the only thing I really want." In the blink of an eye, a literal truckload of premium fruit arrived. Her mental fortress finally crumbled into a heap of despair. The realization hit her like a freight train. Escaping this golden cage was impossible. Just then, the stadium speakers roared to life. As the competition's first half was called, the cold CEO scooped her up. He felt her defeat radiating through her tiny frame. "Done playing your little games?" he whispered with a mix of warmth and steel. "It is time to focus on the arena." Watching from afar, Chen Yi felt a green-eyed monster clawing at his chest. He vowed to seize his father's heart through victory. The games roared to life. Driven by a desperate need for approval, Chen Yi fought like a beast possessed on the field. He swept gold in archery, javelin, and jump. Clutching his medals, he stood before his father like a pup begging for scraps. He lived for just a single word of praise. The legendary Long Chenle finally looked down and offered a curt, "You are a Long. Dominating 3 events is the bare minimum expected of your bloodline." The words were a crushing blow. His world shattered. Seeing her brother's spirit crushed, Pao realized her father was a truly heartless, cold-blooded monster of a man. Her resolve hardened. She had to flee this emotional wasteland. Her mind began to whirl, calculating a brand new escape route. He insisted on escorting her personally. Wrinkling her nose, she feigned embarrassment. "No, Daddy, it is too smelly. Tao goes alone." He could not stand her being the center of attention. Meanwhile, the patriarch led his daughter toward the main school building. Suddenly, a frantic staff member appeared, begging the CEO to attend a board meeting. Tao's heart leapt with sudden, desperate hope. This was her golden ticket to freedom. But to her horror, the cold man prepared to decline the urgent summons immediately. Panicked, she poured on the charm, desperate to push him away. "Your brilliance belongs in that meeting, not here with me." Even the jealous brother joined the chorus, tugging his father's sleeve. "Please, Dad, the school needs your peerless wisdom now." "I'll protect my sister. You can leave." Ha was so grateful, she nearly bowed to her savior. Seeing their bond, Long Chen-li felt relieved and departed. But the second he vanished, the atmosphere shifted. Long Chen-yi dropped Tao ruthlessly. She whimpered, putting on her most pitiful, heart-wrenching expression for him. He grabbed her wrist, a wicked smirk playing on his lips. "Come, sister, let's find you a bathroom." Tao's heart sank. This little villain was plotting something. Yet, this trap actually played right into her hands. He shoved her inside, the door slamming shut with a deafening bang. Tao sighed. Kids are so naive. Did he truly think a locked door could hold her? He clearly forgot about the simple escape window. She gleefully imagined her freedom. But the window was rusted shut and wouldn't budge. Her heart plummeted. Another escape failed. Trapped in the shadows by that little brat, a sinister, damp chill crawled over her. Fear gripped her soul as painful, buried memories flooded back. The crushing helplessness of the dark returned. Her silent screams for help felt like sharp knives piercing her very heart. Desperation took hold of her. Tears flowed freely. Suddenly, as if summoned, a pair of glowing golden eyes ignited within the suffocating darkness. The creature stared intently. Tao was so terrified she nearly lost control of her own bladder. Meanwhile, Long Chen-li finished his meeting and headed to the sports field to present the awards. Suddenly, Yi came sprinting over, frantically. "Dad, terrible news! Sister Ushi ran away!" The father glanced calmly. Yi quickly presented a forged farewell letter. It read, "I hate you, Daddy. I'm leaving. Don't miss me." Long Chen-li read the note, a faint, dangerous smile crossing his face. The boy thought his scheme was flawless. As the boy smirked, his father's deep voice shattered his confidence. "There is a typo in this letter." Panicked, Yi blurted out, "Impossible! I checked the dictionary." The moment he spoke, his fate was sealed. "Where is she?" Long Chen-li's gaze pinned him like a laser. "Lie again and face the consequences." In the dark room, Tao searched for a weapon. Suddenly, a massive rat lunged from the shadows. Letting out a shriek, she grabbed a broom and began swinging wildly at the furry, terrifying intruder. They battled for 300 rounds in that tiny space. Then, with a slow creak, the door opened. Tao turned to see her father walking in, his expression grim. Her eyes welled with tears of relief. But the rat squeaked, sending a fresh wave of paralyzing panic through her small, trembling frame. Long Chen-li threw the rat a murderous glare. The rodent froze, then scurried away in absolute terror. Tao gasped. Her villain father could even intimidate pests. He beckoned her forward with a single commanding finger. Without hesitation, she flew into his arms, hugging his leg. "Wah, Daddy, you finally came for me!" Seeing her sob, a strange, unfamiliar spark of protectiveness flared within the cold man's icy heart. He knelt down, gently stroking her head. "It's all right. Dry your tears." He spoke with unusual softness. Tao only clung tighter, burying her face in his shoulder. Awkwardly, the powerful man began patting her back. Watching this, Yi didn't dare move. He cautiously approached his father, head bowed in a silent apology. Long Chen-li gave him a frigid glance. apologized to her. The boy had no choice but to obey. "I'm sorry," he mumbled reluctantly. The father looked at Tao. "You don't have to forgive his cruelty. He deserves punishment." With her powerful father backing her, Tao felt a surge of newfound royal confidence. She strutted toward the boy with queenly grace. Yi's heart raced, terrified of what she might do. But she simply took his hand, her voice sweet as honey. "Brother didn't mean to do it, right?" Yi was stunned into silence. Tao blinked her large, innocent eyes. "Tao forgives you, big brother." A flush of heat rushed to the boy's cheeks. In an instant, all his cold resentment simply vanished. Seizing the moment, Tao gave him a tight hug. "Third brother is the best! Tao loves him!" The little tsundere was completely defeated. Nearby, Long Chen-li watched the scene with a subtle smirk. The 100-meter dash was starting. Tao stood in the stands, screaming her heart out for him. Her high-pitched cheers echoed through the crowd. Yi looked embarrassed, but his heart was beaming with pride. With the thunderous crack of the starting gun, the race ignited. Long Chen-yi exploded from the line. The crowd's roar peaked, but tragedy struck. A rival's cruel foot snared him, sending him crashing down hard. He hit the dirt. Watching in horror, the pain was a searing tide that anchored him to the track. Shadows swept past as rivals surged ahead. Yet thoughts of his family ignited a fire. He forced himself up. Dragging his mangled leg, he limped toward the finish. Alas, the gap was too wide. He crossed the line last. Despair weighed heavy until a sneering boy approached. "Last place! Your father will surely despise a failure like you." Fury erupted in Tao's heart. She lunged forward, shielding her brother like a small, fierce lioness against the bully. "My brother is a hero for finishing. You are just a pathetic cheater who does not deserve that first-place crown." Humiliated and enraged, the bully's hand swept up, aimed directly at her face to strike her down in anger. Like a flash, Long Chen-yi's hand clamped onto the boy's wrist, pulling his sister into his protective shadow. His gaze turned predatory. "How dare you touch my sister?" Terrified by his sudden killing intent, the bully fled. Long Chen-li knelt to inspect the wounds. Guilt choked the young boy. He felt he had let everyone down. Then a gentle hand rested on his hair. "You did well," his father murmured. "I saw your true courage." Tao's eyes sparkled beside them. "Brother, you were the most amazing person on that entire track today." The dam finally broke. Hot tears of relief flooded his face as he collapsed into his father's rare, warm embrace. A luxury Rolls-Royce glided to the villa. The butler froze, his heart nearly stopping at the sight before him. The legendary Ice King was smiling. Tucked against him were two sleeping angels, safe and curled in his arms. When the butler reached out, the notoriously cold master tightened his grip, refusing to let the children go at all. He carried one and shouldered the other, marching inside. The servants watched, their jaws hitting the floor in shock. Was he possessed? After tucking them into silken sheets, Long Chen-li lingered in the soft golden room light. He watched their peaceful faces, whispering, "They truly are much more adorable when they are finally fast asleep now." Long Chu stifled a silent laugh, while Tao grumbled internally. "So I am not cute when I am actually awake?" A rare shadow of regret crossed his face. His empire had cost him the warmth of his own precious children. Being needed felt like a beautiful ache. Then, his internal monologue slipped through his lips in the quiet room. He took a bad fall today. Perhaps wrestling lessons will toughen him up for the next challenge he faces. Long Chi's heart soared at the idea of training with Dad, but Tao just mentally facepalmed at his thick-headed denseness. "You clueless man! That is not why he was hurting!" Just then, the butler whispered about an urgent meeting. Long Chen-li silenced him with a sharp gesture, guarding the door as if protecting a hoard of sacred treasure. Once the coast was clear, Tao sprang up with a ninja flip. She eyed her brother suspiciously in the dark. Is he really out? She wondered. The pretending Yi held his breath, praying his heart would not betray him. She chuckled softly, stroking his hair. exhausted, aren't you? It feels better to cry it all out sometimes, my brother. You were a total legend today. At her praise, the tips of Yi's ears turned a vibrant, glowing crimson. Morning arrived with Tao in a tiny apron. Suddenly, she felt a piercing, burning gaze on her small back. She whipped an onion behind her. Longqi snatched it midair and, bizarrely, took a massive, defiant bite of it. His eyes stung with spicy tears, yet he remained stoic. I absolutely love this spicy, bold onion flavor. Tao bit back a grin. Right, of course. So, what is on the menu for our brave third brother today? A sandwich, he blurted out. A heavy silence followed. They both remembered his oath from just one day ago. Was he not the one who swore sandwiches were trash? Tao felt a shiver at his sheer kingly denial. As he devoured it, she smiled. One sandwich down, one step closer to conquering this entire villainous household family. The bacon today was divine. The little foodie was munching away happily, lost in a world of savory bliss. Yi saw her joy. Despite his own mouth watering over his portion, he looked at her with newfound sibling resolve. He slid his plate over. I actually despise bacon. You take it all from now on. I do not want it. Tao was confused. What is his game? Brother, she pointed out helpfully, you have got a bit of egg. He misunderstood instantly. Without hesitation, he shoveled his entire breakfast onto her plate to satisfy her every hunger. These eggs are far too tough for my taste, he lied poorly. You must finish them for me instead. Still, his strange behavior felt off. Ignoring the doubt, Ta'uo gulped down her milk and cheered. So refreshing! Seeing her joy, Long Chenyi grandly announced, This isn't enough. Bring 3 more glasses immediately. As the maid obeyed, Ta'uo finally saw through his clumsy kindness. He was actually being sweet in his own stubborn way. Victory is mine, she inwardly celebrated. Witnessing Ta'uo's delight, he secretly ordered 3 daily glasses of milk for her. Little did he know, too much of a good thing is a curse. 4 glasses in, she felt nauseous. Suddenly, Long Chen Li marched in, his black suit radiating a lethal, icy aura. He glared at the sandwich, his voice like frozen steel. Did you make this again? Ta'uo nodded like a frightened little chick. She'd do anything for Daddy. But his cold gaze cut her deep. Don't ever make it again. Those words crushed her. He's terrifying. She had to escape. Just as he took a bite, the butler burst in with a thick envelope. Master, the DNA results have arrived. The news struck like a thunderbolt. Her heart plummeted. It's all over now, she despaired. He hadn't expected such a swift report. He glanced at her. Daddy, open it, she urged, her smile forced and sweat drenching her brow. God help me! Long Chenyi, misinterpreting her panic for heat, handed her a handkerchief. Yeah, it's getting hot in here, she laughed nervously. Long Chen Li sighed, slowly sliding the document out. He'd only kept her because her tears mirrored that woman's. Certain she wasn't his kin. He never expected to be proven so wrong. Bold letters screamed, biological relation confirmed. Ta'uo really was his flesh and blood. His menacing gaze locked onto her. Ta'uo's dread finally crystallized into a terrifying certainty. He suddenly stood, roaring with fury. Where is that woman? Ta'uo was completely lost. Which woman? He slammed the report down. Your mother! Where is she hiding? Looking at the report, she froze. She was officially the villain's daughter. I don't know, she sobbed. Seeing her eyes shimmer with trembling tears, even Long Chen Li felt a sudden pang of regret. The butler bowed low. Master, the young miss survived a kidnapping and suffers from amnesia. This seemed to melt the ice. He ordered a full investigation immediately. Late that night, in his study, he stared at a faded photo. The woman's smile was brighter than the sun, yet memories of her betrayal and the secret child fueled his boiling rage. The next morning, Ta'u woke from a nightmare with dark circles under her eyes. Being the villain's daughter was a death sentence. This family was destined for a tragic end. Now she was officially marked as collateral damage. While she worried, the butler's voice echoed as he wheeled in racks of frilly dresses. Her eyes sparkled instantly. "The master handpicked these for you, young miss." Tao instantly chose a pink princess gown. "Villain dad has decent taste," she noted. Suddenly, Long Chen-yi burst in for briquet. She tried to braid her hair, but her tiny arms couldn't reach. Seeing her struggle, Long Chen-yi stepped forward. "Third brother, do you even know how?" she asked skeptically. Flustered but prideful, the little tsundere puffed out his chest with sheer confidence. "It's just hair. How hard can it be?" But Tao sensed impending disaster. He looked like a master professional, yet his clumsy hands fumbled aimlessly. Tao's poor hair began falling out under his aggressive tugging. She was losing her mind. He wouldn't quit. Finally, he stepped back to admire his masterpiece. It was a disaster. She stared in horror. Are these braids or tree branches? Just then, Long Chen-li entered. "What is this?" he asked. "Daddy, we're braiding my hair," she pouted. He gave a look of pure disdain. "I'll do it." That tone sent a shiver down her spine. Like father, like son. Seeing more hair abandon her scalp, Tauo cried internally, "Farewell, my precious hair!" Meanwhile, Long Chen-li looked incredibly pleased with himself. She stared blankly at the mirror, her soul practically leaving her body. Dad, was a dead tree the inspiration? The father and son kept praising their masterpiece relentlessly. Her patience finally snapped like a dry twig. She kicked them out and fixed her own hair into adorable pigtails before heading down to breakfast. Her eyes sparkled at the sight of the bacon mountain. "Thank you, third brother," she chirped happily. Ye's ears flushed a bright crimson instantly. "I never said it was from me," he stammered shyly. Sure, she teased, digging in. Maybe this villainous life wasn't so terrible after all. Suddenly, a chilling voice shattered the warmth. "Dad, I'm home!" A red-haired teenager stepped forward. It was the second son, Long Chung-fong, a total lunatic with a twisted, predatory smile. "And who is this little doll?" he purred. Long Chun-yi beamed. "Brother, she's really our sister." "Long Chow is my daughter," the father stated coldly. "You will protect her. Do you understand?" A dark smirk danced on his lips. "A sister? Oh, I just adore little sisters." A cold shiver raced down her spine. "Want a treat, sister?" he asked, offering a suspicious candy. Her heart thundered. She knew he was a master of poisons who loved lacing every bite. His gaze darkened when she hesitated. "What? Is my sweet sister turning down my gift?" Trembling, she pocketed it for later. But he'd already seasoned her breakfast with his special pepper. "Go on, take a bite," he whispered with a creepy grin. "It is absolutely delicious." Panic seized her as she stared at the tainted bacon, her stomach turning in knots. "If you don't want it, don't eat it," the father's voice cut through the heavy tension. To her, it was the voice of an angel. "Stop playing with your lethal concoctions," he warned. "I had a stomachache for days after your last treat," the third brother grumbled. "She's just a baby, leave her be." The psycho brother blinked, shocked by their sudden protection. He suddenly grinned, skewered the tainted bacon, and ate it himself without flinching. "Delicious," he chuckled. She was speechless. This guy was a total maniac. "I guess no one likes my cooking," he sighed. He leaned in, his icy fingers tilting her chin up. "Don't worry, I'll buy you a real treat later." Fear gripped her soul, yet she managed a fragile smile. "Thank you, second brother." Later, in his lab, he overheard the maids whispering about the young lady's 3 new gifts. The master and the third son are totally obsessed with her. They've given her so many presents. "She's so precious and kind to us," another added. "How could anyone not love her?" "Even the third master has softened." Suddenly, a murderous gaze silenced their chatter completely. "You're disturbing my work," he hissed. "Perhaps you'd like to be my next test subjects?" The maids nearly fainted from fright. "Forgive us, young master," they cried, scurrying away. A dark thought took root in his mind. If everyone loved her, she'd make a perfect doll. The next day, she worried. In the original novel, her brothers met such gruesome, tragic ends. The third son ended up in prison, but the second son's fate was truly horrific. Consumed by obsession, he turned to the dark arts and tried to poison the male lead. He was executed in the end. She hadn't realized his twisted hobby started at such a young age. She desperately wanted to save them from ruin, but the path forward was shrouded in darkness. A sudden knock echoed. Heart racing with hope, she hurried to open the door. Instant regret washed over her. It was the psycho brother, holding a massive fruit basket. "Morning, sister. I brought you a little something. May I step inside for a bit?" Her soul screamed in terror. She forced a grin that looked more like a pained grimace. "Welcome, brother." The moment he stepped inside, she realized she was utterly doomed. How could she change fate when her own life hung by a single poisoned thread? The basket was filled with pastries that looked like distant, toxic relatives of mushrooms. Her stomach twisted. "Go on, pick your favorite flavor," he urged with a sly, knowing glint. A chilling glint danced in his eyes. He claimed he wouldn't force her, but his expression screamed, "Eat, or I'm staying." Pow stared at those dark, cursed-looking treats. There was no way she would ever let that poison touch her lips. Desperate for an escape, she patted her little tummy. "Honey, I'm counting on you." Her daring plan was finally set. She turned to Chung Fong with puppy dog eyes. "Brother, these look amazing, but I'm absolutely stuffed from breakfast." She reached for the small bamboo container. "Second brother, could I just keep this lovely basket instead?" A mysterious smirk crossed Chung Fong's face. Of course. Pow sighed in relief, thinking she'd finally escaped his trap. Suddenly, without blinking, Chung Fong grabbed a pastry and took a bite. Pow's jaw hit the floor in pure shock. She was utterly speechless. "This guy is a complete lunatic!" Chung Fong grinned. "A wise choice, dear sister." He leaned in, his voice a low whisper. "It seems you really enjoy the fragrance of fresh bamboo." Confused, Pow instinctively took a deep breath near the basket. A sweet, woody scent filled her senses. "It smells wonderful." Seeing her fall for it. 3, 2... Pow blinked, totally lost as he began a mysterious countdown. What was he planning now? With a sharp snap of his fingers, agony ripped through her stomach. She collapsed, clutching her midsection in pain. "Second brother, please, the antidote," she begged. "There is no cure," he replied, his voice turning to ice. "You ruined my family, so this is your debt." He turned his back on her, leaving her broken and alone. Tears blurred her vision. She had finally started to feel at home, believing things were actually changing for the better. Just yesterday, she was mourning his tragic fate. Now, this heartless monster had crushed her kindness with cold cruelty. Fueled by pure spite, she forced herself up. Grabbing the basket like a weapon, she lunged at her tormentor. Like a tiny feral animal, she wrapped her arms around his neck. "You brat! You actually dared to poison me? Fine, if I'm going down, you're coming with me." She shoved the bamboo basket directly under his nose. "Here, brother, take a nice long whiff of your own medicine." Suddenly, both their stomachs groaned in a violent symphony. "It was a total emergency. Out of my way! No, I'm going first!" The two began a desperate race for the toilet. In a cruel twist of fate, Chen Yi caught them mid-sprint. He watched with wide, innocent eyes as they scrambled. "Wow, they're playing together," he cheered. "Are they having a race?" Pow saw the finish line just ahead. She shrieked Chen Yi's name. Like a loyal puppy, he dashed over, accidentally sending Chung Fong tumbling to the floor. Pow dived into the bathroom and slammed the door shut. Behind her, Chung Fong's fury exploded in a thunderous accident. Eons later, the two emerged looking like ghosts, their energy completely drained from the digestive battlefield. Chung Fong managed a weak, intrigued smirk. "Not a bad move, little sister. I'll give you that one." "Drop dead," she hissed back. But instead of anger, a dark spark lit up his eyes. Let's play something deadlier next time. Pao bolted upright, her fighting spirit reignited. Bring it on, you psycho! I'm not backing down from you! Suddenly, Long Chen-li appeared and scooped her up. What are you two troublemakers whispering about? Brother, Pao started, then hesitated. Chung Feng panicked. She realized this little villain was actually terrified of the eldest. She offered a sweet, innocent smile. Brother gave me a gift, and I simply adore it. Chung Feng was stunned. He couldn't wrap his head around her silence. Long Chen-li just pinched her cheek and handed her to Chung Feng. Look after your sister well, he commanded. Chung Feng stood there like a statue, completely bewildered by the situation. Once their father figure left, the gears started turning. Why didn't she snitch? She must be plotting something even worse. Brother, Pao began softly, I'm actually a very forgiving person. She couldn't let him descend into true darkness. Even without the truth coming out, the air between them was electric with tension as they shared a silent glare. To innocent Chen Yi, it looked like a game. Are we doing a staring contest? I want to play too. And so the great staring war began. It didn't end until all three were sobbing from the sheer eye strain. That was amazing, Chen Yi cheered, totally oblivious. Hao smiled. She was starting to love her goofy third brother. At least he wasn't a budding sociopath, unlike Chung Feng, who leaned in with one final, chilling threat. I wonder if you'll be so lucky next time, he whispered. Pao sighed, realizing some villains are just stubborn. This guy is a lost cause, she thought, dusting herself off. Whatever, I'm going to go play. Bye, losers! She marched off with her head held high. Chung Feng watched her go, a genuine spark of interest finally flickering. Everyone else trembles, yet this tiny sprout dares to challenge me. Dawn broke as Tao jolted awake, escaping a terrifying nightmare. Stay away, she gasped, trembling with dread. Young miss, what happened? Her maid Kelly cried out, racing to her side. Since Chung Feng's return, shadows haunted her dreams. Her once vibrant face had grown ghostly pale. Fortunately, her villainous father tasked Kelly with her care, which eased her racing heart. Kelly chose a charming dress to brighten her spirits. Moments later, she entered the dining hall. Long Chen-yi waved her over, while Long Chen-li gently tied a napkin around her neck. Nearby, Long Chung Feng merely offered a cold sneer. After their meal, as Chung Feng prepared to head to his lessons, Long Chen-li commanded, "Take your sister along." Tao froze in pure shock. Chung Feng flashed a sinister smirk. Understood, father. Wait, Dad, Tao stammered nervously. I don't think... Before she could protest, Chen Yi, desperate for affection, cut in. I want to play too. I love studying as well, Long Chen-li glared. I thought you despised lessons. Yi felt a cold shiver race down his spine. I've developed a sudden passion for it. Ignoring her protest, the two brothers seized her and hauled her outside. Tao felt her soul leaving her body. Soon, the three siblings reached the study hall. Greetings, Master Vincent, the brothers murmured, their voices quivering in fear. A grim man answered icily. 1 minute late. You lack discipline. Observe Ayan. He is younger than you, yet far superior. He arrived an hour early. This Ayan was actually Long Chen-li's own nephew, Chen Yan. Tao recognized this tutor immediately. Vincent was the spark that drove the three Long brothers toward their tragic downfall. Vincent sneered at Tao. So, you are the family's adopted brat. What could a tiny runt like you ever master? Surprisingly, the usually cowardly Chen Yi defended her fiercely. Master, she is my precious sister. Tao's heart swelled with emotion, but Vincent roared, Sit down! Quit wasting time! As the lesson droned on, Tao leaned toward Yi and whispered her gratitude. Her praise made him glow with satisfaction. Chung Feng scoffed. My foolish, dim-witted brother is being played by this crafty little girl. Suddenly, a heavy tome crashed onto his desk. Vincent's cold gaze towered over them. Idiots are not welcome here. Behold Ion. He topped the midterm exams again. But you two? Chen Yi is nearly last. Yi turned crimson, utterly humiliated. Chung Fong let out a sharp laugh. Vincent's murderous eyes snapped toward him. You find this funny? You spend obsessing over ghoulish trinkets rather than studying. I cannot fathom how the Long clan produced such a freak. Chung Fong looked unfazed, but Yi was devastated. Observing her brothers, Tao grew deeply concerned. Was their inner darkness reaching a breaking point? She leaped onto the desk like a fierce guardian protecting her kin, shielding her brothers. Master, you cannot speak such foul words about my family. The old relic was speechless. He demanded she descend, but she refused. My third brother is a sporting genius, she shouted. And my second brother's desserts are legendary. The tsundere feigned indifference, but his heart soared. Even the twisted Chung Fong felt a spark of warmth. It was obvious Tao had them fully captivated. You call yourself a teacher? She hissed, her voice sharp as she pointed her finger. How can you lead anyone while crushing their spirits? The old man seethed. You dare defy your master? This is mutiny. Are teachers immune to being wrong? She countered. I think you are simply envious of my amazing brothers. He snorted. If they are truly so grand, then let us witness their standing at the grand banquet in a few days. Tao faltered. She could not speak for her siblings' choices. Noticing her hesitation, he smirked. Suddenly, Chen Yi bellowed, I will attend the banquet. It is full of excitement anyway. Tao's eyes sparkled with renewed hope. Then Long Chung Fong interjected, Count me in. It was a dream come true. Tao winked playfully at the old man and grinned. We shall see you there, master. Enraged, he banished her from the room. Hearing that, she jumped down. Freedom! No more listening to this tedious drivel. She hummed a cheerful melody and strutted out, offering a cheeky wave. I'm leaving now. Toodles! At that moment, Long Chen Yi bolted upright. I'm leaving with her, he declared. Only fools would stay in this pathetic class. He scooped Tao up and marched out with effortless grace. The old man coughed in disbelief. With no more distractions, let us proceed. Before he finished, Chung Fong tossed his book aside. My siblings are gone, so I'm leaving too. The patriarch turned red, completely lost for words. He pinned his final hopes on silent Chen Yan. That night, Tao's eyes sparkled. Will there be friends? Yi pondered. Isn't a party just a solo feast of delicacies? Tao's heart sank at his words. Goodness, you're a total loner. She turned to Chung Fong, dread pooling. His cold voice cut the air. Everyone keeps 3 feet away from me. It's efficient. Tao stood frozen by their social ineptitude. These two didn't even realize they were outcasts. No wonder the old man was acting so superior. She needed a master plan to save them. Next morning, Tao awoke stressing over the banquet bet. She searched for answers but found none. Her so-called villainous father was nowhere to be found. Time to rise, young miss, Kelly's sweet voice called. Tao greeted her, her face filled with worry. Kelly saw the girl's trouble. Suddenly, a light bulb flickered. Tao looked up with her most dazzling gaze. Kelly, how do I make the other kids adore us? The maid paused, tapping her chin thoughtfully. Politeness and gentlemanly charm always win hearts. A brilliant spark ignited in Tao's determined eyes. She planted a grateful kiss on Kelly's cheek, melting her heart. Tao marched to find her brothers. Her explosive greeting sent Chen Yu's milk flying. Goodness, sister, are you trying to kill me? Listen up, brothers. We will be the stars of the night. Our legendary training begins right now. The boys were completely lost. The drills began. Chen Yi followed every instruction with dedicated effort. Tao pushed until her tiny legs trembled. Meanwhile, Chung Fong was being a rebel, refusing to cooperate. He scoffed at these shallow social games. Tao shot him a death glare, but he just shrugged. Fine, secret training. She dragged him to the kitchen. I'll help you make your sweets look beautiful. Maybe that will get people to like you. Fang's eyes clouded with resentment at her words. He felt insulted and coldly refused, vowing to handle the grand banquet in his own way. The big day arrived. Chen Yi's polite, gentlemanly grace sent shockwaves through the crowd of heirs. Tao glided behind in a misty blue dress, secretly pleased. Their hard work was actually paying off. But disaster struck. Yi spun too fast, became dizzy, and his boot caught Tao's flowing dress. The siblings collided, tumbling into a tangled heap. The watching crowd recoiled from their special entrance. Ugh, those weirdo siblings again. Stay away, Vincent sneered, his eyes brimming with malicious delight. Who are you calling idiots, old man? Tao snapped back. Suddenly, a scream shattered the air. Thief! Without hesitation, Chen Yi vanished like a rocket. His long legs were a blur of pure speed. The culprit felt an aura of terror. In a blink, Yi had him pinned to the floor. The ballroom erupted in cheers. Tao shot Vincent a triumphant look. See? My brother is amazing! Grades aren't everything! But Vincent just snorted, pointing his chin toward the isolated Chung Fong. My judgment is flawless. A freak is a freak. Does that look like popularity to you? Seeing the cruel whispers, Tao's heart shattered. She decided to be the first to stand up. She stormed over, snatched a pastry, and stuffed it into her mouth with a massive gulp. She expected her life to flash before her eyes. Instead, an explosion of divine flavor hit her. Brother, you have to try this. Yi approached with caution, taking a tentative, nervous bite. His eyes instantly ignited with stars. He declared his second brother a true culinary genius. With his siblings' adoration, Fang was ecstatic. But his joy was crushed by that old coot, Vincent. How pathetic, Vincent spat. The three of you entertaining yourselves. Look around, does anyone care? Tao's rage reached a boiling point. She felt like a volcano. Just then, a small voice interrupted. Can I please try one? Chung Fang's jaw dropped. He couldn't believe someone actually wanted his food. As the crowd stared in disbelief, the mysterious little girl finally took a delicious bite. No one imagined siblings would truly crave his handmade meal. Under their stunned gazes, the maiden finally tasted the... Guests marveled at the exquisite pastries, showering the unique designs with glowing praise. A wave of children swarmed the table, making the young baker an instant star. Pao beamed with pride. She turned to Vincent, offering him a sweet, peacemaking sample. Vincent's face flushed scarlet. He roared in denial, questioning the safety of the treats. Claiming they were dangerous, he lunged for the plate. Pure chaos erupted instantly. In a panic, Tao bit his hand. The pastries shattered across the floor in ruin. The second brother's eyes flared with rage. His siblings rushed to restrain his fury. They begged him to calm down. Slowly, the boy's dark aura began to settle. He smirked, promising a taste of his new black pepper macarons next time instead. With her brother safe, Tao turned a cold, sharp gaze toward the bitter teacher. You are just a sore loser who hates seeing my brother succeed, she hissed. Vincent exploded, hurling cruel insults and banning the three siblings from his class. A chilling voice cut through the air. Long Chen Li appeared, eyes filled with ice. He declared the man unfit to teach, while Vincent sneered back with misplaced pride. The father didn't hesitate. He fired the arrogant teacher on the spot, cold and final. Vincent snarled in defiance. Suddenly, the powerful head of the family made his entrance. The patriarch arrived with the eldest brother, Chenya, radiating a suffocating pressure. I wish to see who dares defy my word. The old man's voice boomed. His presence was a heavy weight, making Tao's soft cheeks tremble with instinctive dread. Vincent rushed to his savior, playing the victim with a pathetic, tearful display. The patriarch demanded an explanation. Chen Li stood firm, protecting his precious children. With a subtle look, the father signaled his kids. Their performance began at once. Tao's lip trembled as she sobbed, claiming the teacher had called her a fool. Her brother joined in, weeping about how the man called him a talentless jock. The middle brother played the martyr, acting hurt yet forgiving about his ruined work. He claimed it was an accident, making the teacher look like a cruel bully. The crowd whispered in disgust. Tao then laid a clever trap for her grandfather. She asked if Vincent was the real family head since he bossed everyone around. She hinted he was using the patriarch's name to push their father into submission. Vincent panicked, but the patriarch's face had already soured into a mask of rage. "You dare act as the master?" he roared, his fury shaking the entire hall. Guards were summoned immediately. Vincent was dragged away like a piece of garbage. Tao shivered under her grandfather's gaze. Then, the old man whispered a dark threat. He warned Chenli to behave, mentioning a woman who had vanished years ago. The words struck like lightning. Chenli stood frozen, his heart filled with terror. Without an answer, the patriarch departed, leaving behind a cold command to learn. The eldest brother bowed politely, though his presence felt like a brewing storm. The siblings were thrilled to reunite, eager to introduce their new little sister. Chenya knelt before Tao, his gentle smile hiding a darkness beneath the surface. Tao wondered if her presence had shifted the timeline. The villain had returned early. Had the plot truly changed? The eldest was home years before he was meant to. Regardless, her brother was accepted. Tao finally felt she could sleep in peace. But at midnight, a shadow entered her room. Chenya stood over her bed. He stroked her cheek with melancholy, whispering a question about her sudden return. He muttered that their father was bewitched, his eyes swirling with hidden, dark sorrow. That woman had haunted his heart, nearly driving him to flee with her. Now, her daughter was here to stir his soul. Lost in those memories, Long Chenya reached a trembling hand toward Tao. Suddenly, a cold, deep voice echoed from the shadows. Long Chenya spun around to find Long Chenli in the doorway, eyes like ice. Quickly, Ya signaled for silence with a finger. He carefully tucked the blanket over Ta'uu and crept out, clicking the door shut. The night air is turning quite cold lately. I only came to check on my sister. Long Chenli didn't believe that pathetic excuse for even a single second. What did the old man really send you back here for? He demanded. Long Chenya kept a calm mask, lying through his teeth. Grandfather values our new sister and wants me to mentor her. Long Chenli instantly sensed a trap being laid for the girl. That won't be necessary, he stated flatly. I don't trust anyone. Long Chenya shot back with a daring, defiant look in his eyes. Is it that you trust no one, or just that you don't trust me? The tension between father and son flared dangerously. Just then, the door creaked open. Ta'uo stood there, rubbing her sleepy eyes as she looked at the two men in confusion. Daddy? Big brother? Why are you both outside my room? Is something wrong? The fierce tyrant instantly melted into a gentle giant. The wind is howling tonight, and I'm too scared to sleep alone. Could Tao please keep her poor daddy company? Ta'uo stared in disbelief. A grown man, afraid of the wind? Seriously? Before she could utter a single word of protest, Long Chenli's handsome face leaned in close, silencing her. Sensing her hesitation, he took it as a silent agreement. He swept her up in his arms and strode toward his bedroom. Once there, Ta'au spoke in her sweetest little voice. Don't be scared, Daddy. If you can't sleep, I'll sing you a beautiful lullaby. Long Chenli froze, looking slightly awkward. He lay down beside her, feeling completely out of place. Ta'uo tilted her head, wondering which melody would soothe him most. Soon, her angelic voice filled the quiet, dimly lit room. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, snore, snore, time for sleepy dreams. Long Chenli listened, a strange sensation washing over him. Honestly, her singing was completely off-key and quite messy, yet it wasn't unpleasant to hear. Gradually, the singing faded, until, just like in her song, Ta'o'o finally drifted off. She was fast asleep, snoring softly like a tiny kitten. Looking at the little ball of fluff resting in his arms, Long Tenli couldn't resist. He reached out to gently pinch her soft cheek. She really looks exactly like her mother. Memories of happier times flooded his mind, warm yet bitter. But the mystery of her disappearance still gnawed at his soul. Why did she leave me without a word? Under what circumstances did she give birth to my child all alone? As he spiraled into thought, Ta'uo's hand suddenly flew up. Slap! She hit him right across the face, breaking his trance. Long Tenli sighed helplessly, heart softening. He carefully tucked her in and began to rhythmically pat her small back. He hummed a soft lullaby he'd never sang before. Ta'uo must have felt the warmth, snuggling deeper into his chest. She curled into a tiny ball, safe within his embrace. For the very first time, a profound, wondrous feeling overwhelmed him, a sense of pure peace and protection. This, he realized with a soft smile, must be what it feels like to be dad.